Netflix hates us. Hi, everybody. I'm Amy Newman.
And I'm Kris Carr, and we are Two Filthy Casuals.
And we know getting into a new fandom can be intimidating, especially with all the gatekeeping and the show never ending.
That's a big one. Oh,
well, it ended, but it didn't end.
Yeah, no, it didn't. And I have something to reveal to you about that. Ha-ha! I didn't realize I didn't watch all of it until we covered this episode. I'm part of the problem, Amy. I'm part of the problem.
How far did you get?
Season 2, and I thought I watched Season 3. I know. I'm a fake fan. Wee-oo, they're coming for me. That's why on this podcast, we have a real fan on who can talk to us about fandom.
Maybe if you'd watched it.
I'm the reason.
And also didn't create COVID.
I did create COVID-19. That was a big mistake on my part.
You really did it.
You know?
Really fucked up.
I'm sorry about that.
You owe me.
I owe Allison Brie.
Yeah.
I owe Betty Gilpin. Gosh. To be fair, I at least know that Mia did the same thing because she asked how this episode was going. She was like, "You're doing a Glow episode? I'm so excited." And I was like, "Dude, I'm so embarrassed. I just realized that I never watched Season 3 where they're in Vegas." And she was like, "Wait, what?" No,
Am I the only one who watched it?
Maybe, and maybe that's part of the problem.
We're like, one lady.
I don't know if we should bring this back.
One lady watched it. She seemed really into it, but we can't make shows for her.
Apparently
no matter
not.
how many letters she sends us.
And there were quite a few.
No matter how many back seats of our car she just appears in.
Just barrel rolling.
Hey! Wanted to chat.
Hi, Ted. I just wanted to talk to you about your streaming network and some mistakes you're making.
Couple of notes.
Yeah. I'd love that.
Wow. So I assume you watched?
I did and enjoyed, and I'm so excited to talk to you about it.
Very good.
It's really good, and I'm now even more mad.
I'd like to thank everyone who asked for this episode, by which I mean we bitched about this so much that somebody finally just went, yeah, fucking do it.
You should do
It's
that.
your podcast.
Yeah, do an episode on Glow. It's about time.
So thank you.
Sometimes we need permission, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Sometimes bullying works, but I don't know if we bullied our fans or they bullied us. Our fans, our listeners.
Circle.
Feel weird in my fans. You listen to them. I'm not going to place statements on how much you enjoy this podcast. You listen to it, and that's all I can ask of
Yeah,
you.
that's enough, honestly.
That's plenty.
We're fine with that. So what is Glow?
Glow is a show that was on Netflix. It ran 3 seasons and then got very unceremoniously canceled. 2017 to 2019. So kind of last gasp of that 30-year, we're doing 80s.
Oh, yeah.
That is funny how that, like Stranger Things and this, and it really is the right.
Was Don Cheadle's show in the 80s, too, that was on HBO? Gosh, I'm blanking on the name of it. There was a big kind of like boom of.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's right every 30 years we kind of
revisit.
Go wild.
Yeah.
For, which means the 90s are up now.
We've got a couple of them, which I'm not in love with, because, oof, what an ugly decade.
Oh, my God. I saw, like, a college student with one of those bracelets. You know, they were, like, they were almost like charm bracelets, but they were, like, little silver squares. And you could, like, hook them in, and then the bracelet was kind of stretchy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, God, do you have that as, like, a retro thing?
Yeah.
Because I'm crumbling into dust.
Oh, one of the few children I teach got one of those headbands, you know, the zigzaggy headbands.
Oh,
that
yes.
part your hair back,
yeah.
right? And she goes, oh, I've got one of those old retro headbands I can wear for the shoot. Do you think that'd be cute? I was like, old retro headband. What? 1, how can a headband be retro? How? 2, how dare you? I wore that when I was 13.
Right.
It can't be retro. I'm a child.
I hope zigzag parts come back. Do you remember that?
Genuinely would love the volume. The volume they create.
I did own a Bump It in college. That was more 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
But
who didn't? Those were great.
But yeah, 80s were back in a big way. I think
were.
we should like continue this back 30 and 30 and 30. So we're just like 1790s really in right now. I think it would be fun if we looped those
That'd be great.
every like 120 years.
There we go.
Yeah.
And then that way, none of us feel ancient when we're revisiting. The show ending with the see you in 87, I was like, whoa, you will. That's when I arrive.
Oh, funny. But yeah, so Glow was a tragically I won't say short-lived, but gone too soon.
Gone too soon because it was renewed initially for a 4th season.
And then they were like, oh, but COVID happened, and if we make audiences wait 3 years, they won't remember. Anyway, Stranger Things.
Yeah.
5 years later.
Millie Bobby Brown is a whole ass wife now.
Whatever.
It's wild to me.
But if you've never watched Glow, it's an excellent show. It is based on the actual Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling League show from the 80s. I don't know if we'd call this a whole league. But it was an entertainment program.
Yeah.
It's loosely based on a documentary that at least was on Netflix and is quite fun and interesting.
Oh, I never watched this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe was part of the inspiration for the show creators. There's a documentary that kind of covers Glow, which was a real thing, and a lot of the characters are sort of loosely based. I don't think anyone's a direct one-to-one. I don't think any of the wrestling personas are a direct one-to-one.
Yeah, it feels influenced.
Yeah, they sort of took that idea and ran with it. So Glow follows Alison Brie as Ruth, who's this sort of struggling actress, really frustrated even with just the quality of parts that are available to her as a woman in Hollywood in the 80s, let alone like what she can actually book, who ends up auditioning for this wrestling show. And then it sort of does one of those... it's sort of like a fun Orange is the New Black of the like, right, we have like Alison Brie and Betty Gilpin. And then like, oh, we're kind of using them to sell you on this show that then has a way more interesting, huge cast of diverse women and fantastic actresses who you haven't seen enough in things. And it's just like a great big ensemble cast of all these wrestlers and the people working on the show. Mark Maron's one of the other leads, is the director of the show. And it's just an excellent, well done, kind of fast-paced, I would call it a dramedy.
Yes.
I think would be kind of the right.
I think that's appropriate.
Yeah. But I would say more fun than drama.
Yeah. When this would get Emmy nominations in the comedy category, I wasn't confused by it.
No.
The Bear. This made sense to me.
I consider it a comedy first and foremost.
Absolutely. Sure. Did they watch The Challenger? Yes. But
it is...
They deal with that
it's
in a
done
really great
with
way.
some humor,
Yes.
just in the way they find themselves dealing with that moment.
Yeah.
Which, one thing I wanted to talk about, I feel like with sort of period piece shows, and for some reason specifically with 80s set media, it can get very annoying very fast. It can feel very,
Remember that?
Rubik's Cube, Aquanet, you know. And not that this show isn't over the top 80s out, but it does feel like when they're dropping those references, it's done in a way that is always kind of clever and thoughtful.
Sure.
Like there's not a lot of just, hey, remember the shoulder pads? Yeah. It's like, no, it's just because this is the stuff that exists in the world our characters live in.
Yeah, and they're things that would be weird, honestly, if they weren't discussed given the time period.
Right. Well, even to that point, like The Challenger, it's not just like someone randomly drops them. Oh, did you hear?
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's a whole plot point because it happens while they're on TV. And Ruth is kind of being a dick about it because she's a heel in the wrestling show.
And then how do you rectify that moment?
Or like, I love the joke. Because Mark Maron's character, Sam, is sort of this, if you haven't watched the show, sort of this schlock filmmaker, right? Sort of these almost like sexploitation-y films. It's very implied. And is so proud in the whole first season about this script for this Oedipal, fucked up, like, you know, exploration where this kid time travels and his mom wants to fuck him and he's trying to explain it to someone. And the guy's like, no, I just saw that movie. It's Back to the Future. It's so good. And it's such a funny punchline after he's been talking about that movie for and it kind of ruins his life because it's like, no, this is my masterpiece. But again, it's not just, oh, we're all seeing Back to the Future because it's the 80s. It's such a grounded, like, oh, this is brought up because it's a punchline to this thing this character's doing.
Exactly.
And I think the show just generally does a good job with that.
I would agree. Yeah. Plus, the fashion in it, I think, is really fun and actually like feels real, as opposed to when you do watch something of, oh, this is somebody's idea of what the 80s is.
There are women who are just wearing like blouses and skirts sometimes.
Yeah. There are people where it's, oh yeah, I've picked that up at a thrift store. I've
Sure.
seen that.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have the other people in the show who are more outrageous and who do want to dress like Madonna, like Melrose.
Right.
But not everyone is in that very caricature-y kind of look that can happen so often when we do have things in the 70s, 80s. 90s is always such a weird one, too, of just like, no, that's something that's on sale at H&M right now. But okay, sure.
Man, I was watching Jaws the other day because it was just the 50th.
Just to feel good?
I'm Team Shark. And one of these days...
Let's go, Bruce!
He was just doing what sharks do.
Right.
He's just doing what sharks do. No, it was just the 50th anniversary.
That's fun.
Of the film.
That's very cool.
Boy, the 70s were just brown. Like, the movie really captures just
how brown everything was.
What a wash of brown there was over everything in that era.
Yeah.
And then we have the 80s that's like... When it was funny, I was bitching to someone once about Stranger Things. Of like, I feel like this show kind of captures that 70s into 80s, especially those first couple seasons where it's like, we're in a small town. A lot of these characters aren't like super, super wealthy. So everything is like pretty brown. And then season 3 hits and everything's like bubblegum Technicolor. Yeah. But I had a friend who was like, I lived through the 80s and that's not that far off. Like it did feel like a switch was flipped at some point. And it was like, we're done with the 70s colors. Neon. So.
Well, once everyone gets to go to the mall, it's all accessible.
I wasn't there. I don't know.
I'm only at the tail end of it.
You don't have strong memories of being...
From 87 to 89 now.
Being a fetus?
No.
You can hear the music in there?
Unfortunately, no.
You could have.
I mean,
that's
maybe.
Science.
But I don't remember it. I'm not like, oh yeah, when my mom was playing all of that glorious, glorious Rod Stewart, I was just feeling it.
Do you not remember? Do you not want to remember?
I don't want to remember. No, I don't remember.
Go back.
My first like memory is my grandma. We've talked about this before. When my mean grandma, who's no longer with us, we're not upset about it. When my mean grandma, like I was in the car with her going to see Swan Princess, and she was smoking in the car with the windows rolled up. And when I went, she goes, "Oh, grow up, Christine." And that's one of those things where I think I was like 3. Wearing one of my stupid little sailor outfits.
Pause. What?
Oh, that was a huge thing in like the early 90s, were these little sailor dresses. Oh my gosh, what a time.
Adorable.
I mean, every picture of me looks like I'm the fattest little sailor just going off to the Navy.
Were you a little chunky?
I was a chunky baby. Aww. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
My dad called me William Taft.
So your whole family just like, little mean.
All of us are. That's why when casting directors are like, you could stand to lose a few, I'm like, okay, buddy. You're not my first rodeo, all right? I know how this goes, and I don't give a shit. But Glow.
Good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, sorry, that was a dramatic pause for water. Allow me to really milk this moment. This episode is 20 minutes long if you cut out all the water sips. An hour and a half otherwise. Yeah, but I do feel like this show was one of the notorious Netflix hates us.
It feels that way. 15 Emmy nominations over the course of its run.
Yeah.
Do they also hate Prestige on top of, like, this was a well-received show, too.
Do they hate women?
Oh, Amy, don't get political. That one person is going to get real upset.
Well, okay, this is actually, so one thing, we can get into this now. One thing that I find particularly heartbreaking about the Glow clip. Oh my God. I think someone hit the reset on my brain. Like, that sounded like when you just, like, pull the plug on a TV in the middle of the Glow.
Just a buffering moment.
Give me a minute. I'll power back up in a second. Hold for Celsius.
Sponsor us, you cowards.
You cowards. This one tastes like a pina colada.
Oh, that's the Playa one?
That's the Playa vibe.
Okay.
I couldn't find retro vibe today, which felt apropos, but
that's okay.
Ralph told me to fuck off. So one thing that I find particularly heartbreaking about this cancellation, which did come out of nowhere, like you were referencing, they fully were getting a fourth season. I believe we're starting to make the fourth season. And then COVID happened, and then they pulled the plug on it. And you can tell when you watch that third season, like, you were writing this with more shit to do.
Yeah.
What I find especially heartbreaking is when the show, went on hiatus, essentially a handful of the actresses from the show who are women of color, were and still are, as far as I know, women of color. So Sunita Manny, Sidel Noel, Brittany Young, Kia Stevens, Ellen Wong, and Shakira Barrera all stepped forward and wrote a letter to the executive producers of the show, essentially saying, we are glad to be on this show. We see what you're trying to do with the diversity on this show. We have some issues. We feel disempowered often in the way our characters are written. We feel we have had, storylines promised to us that don't feel like they have the follow through of a lot of the white characters on this show. We really don't feel like there are writers in the writer's room, which I think was pretty exclusively white. We don't feel like there are writers working on this show who can really accurately represent us and our stories in a way that feels authentic. And because of a lot of that, we feel like we're just being kind of disempowered, and we feel like we're not quite getting what we deserve for our characters, and our characters aren't getting what we deserve. And as far as I know, the executive producers and Netflix took that letter and came back to the table and went, that's completely fair. Here's actionable stuff we want to be doing. I don't think they ever announced exactly what was going to happen, but they were very open and receptive to that letter. And their response was basically, you're right. We can try to do better. Here's what we want to do to take these next steps. So not only is it just heartbreaking because I love this show, but it's also heartbreaking because, just like as a fan, those actresses are some of the highlights of the show.
Oh,
and I would love to have seen what a season looked like where those characters got more time to shine and better writing and better representation. And also, I think this could have been a really important conversation, because I think sometimes I feel like and this is all kind of my, like, as a white woman opinion, so I, take it with a grain of salt. But I feel like when we started having more of these conversations, a lot of it was, around 2020 of, like, conversations about, racial, like, equity and equality and representation in media, like, sort of blossomed into that conversation as well. It felt like a lot of things were then very much put on a binary, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Is this, quote unquote, woke or canceled, right? And I feel like had they been able to do this fourth season with these changes that they were discussing, it could have been such an excellent moment of, these actresses never said, fuck this show, you're bad people.
Yeah.
Fuck you if you like this show, you're a racist. Like, that was never a conversation. They were like, we are glad to be a part of a show with a diverse cast. Do better by all your actresses who are fucking killing it in spite of what you're giving us to do.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's such a moment of, we're not saying it's not enough, fuck you. We're just saying, thanks for trying, can you do better?
Yeah.
And the answer to that can just be yeah, thanks for bringing that to our attention. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Not oh, I'm sorry, we're canceled now. Just yeah, no, that's fucking fair. Let's give your characters better storylines, and let's just move forward from here.
Absolutely.
And I think that could have been such a good moment for how we handle these conversations and how it can be just a fucking net positive for the show. Of the show would have been stronger with those changes in place. I feel pretty fucking confident.
Yeah.
So it's doubly heartbreaking.
That is really upsetting. Well, and especially when you do have a show that is pointing out the sexism of a time that is still carried over to our current timeline.
Yeah.
It is incredibly important for that feminism to also be intersectional.
Yeah.
And this is something that white women aren't great at either. And so when it is a moment of being able to elevate everyone around you, that's what should be done. And that was handled so gracefully.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That is really unfortunate.
And especially on a show like Glow. Because if you've never watched it, one thing I think the show does that's really interesting and is sort of no, this should be like a constant ongoing conversation, because yes, it is a show within this whole idea of, it's women's wrestling, isn't that empowering? It also does ask a lot of the questions of, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this kind of, let's make a bunch of chicks dress up in spandex and roll around, and that's kind of the selling point of it?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it, we're athletes and this is empowering and we're just as strong and cool as what the guys can do?
Yeah.
The show doesn't shy away from how much a lot of these characters in these days of wrestling could rely on stereotypes, to the point that there are like really uncomfortable moments with what some of these actresses are asked to do. So it's like, if we're having a show that's going, hey, we're depicting, a black woman playing a wrestler who's welfare queen,
Mm-hmm.
and you as the audience are not supposed to just go, oh, well, it's a good show for the depicting something doesn't mean we're endorsing it, which I think is also an interesting conversation, because that's something I think in our current, I don't know if it's TikTok brain or what the fuck, but like, people are bad at that.
Yes.
Of like, the show showed me this, therefore the show thinks this is good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, sometimes shows show you characters who do bad things.
We all lack so much media literacy.
Yeah.
It is so frustrating, especially people who work on the internet, of just people being like, no, this is what the show said, and so you are complicit in this. Of, no, we can have a nuanced look at what something is presenting us, which is what art is supposed to do.
Yep.
And make you come to a conclusion.
Yeah.
And decide how you feel about those things.
Yeah. So I think in a show where we were like having these conversations through like, yeah, they're doing stuff with this wrestling that's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good. It makes you see it making the actresses uncomfortable over the course of the show, and them like grappling with what this means for how they're representing themselves, and these, caricatures based on their race or their backgrounds. I wish we had more time to have more of these conversations and continue to see how the show grew.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was watching it thinking like, I don't know, with like TikTok brain and our current like state of media literacy, if Glow came out now, would everyone just be like, fucking, that's racist, canceled?
The actress who plays Melrose is canceled.
Yeah.
I'm never going to watch her on a Netflix show ever again.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens a lot. Well, how many times too have we had that issue? We talked about this with Eric with Last of Us, of when someone's just
we talked about this, Eric, with some of those comments he made. They're not okay, and we did cancel them.
You'll love again. It's all right. No, we were talking about how people have treated the actresses who have portrayed Abby.
Right.
Of just like, they're just so good at their job.
Yeah.
That people then go, well, that person's horrible and an asshole, and I'm going to send them death threats.
Yeah.
We have this with people portraying racists and bad people in media. No, they're doing their job.
Yeah. When this show even does an interesting, like, the characters are very, very flawed people, but you can still root for them.
Absolutely.
Which I think is also interesting. I don't know a ton of shows that do show you characters like Sam, where it's like, you are kind of sexist. You are kind of racist. Like, you
You're
do
an
and
asshole.
say some very problematic shit.
Mm-hmm.
But the show's not asking me to not care about you as a character. It's just asking me to perceive you sort of with a critical eye of, yeah, that's probably what a lot of people were like in Hollywood in the 1980s.
Yeah.
It's probably what a lot of people are like in Hollywood now, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't have time to have that conversation.
No, not today.
No, I mean, Allison Brie's character, when you meet her, I would say spoiler banjo, but it's in the first, 10 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
Fucks her best friend's husband. And, it doesn't ask you to think that's a good thing,
No.
but she's still our protagonist.
You, like Ruth, think she's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
She hates herself.
Yeah.
Big part of why she does these things.
Mm-hmm.
You also understand completely, oh, she's so frustrated with her job.
Yeah.
She's so frustrated with where she's at. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. There's a hair that keeps going in my nose. There we go.
Let me
Got
get that
it.
for you.
I just whoop. Next time, just get up in here. With your teeth?
Well,
Ooh.
I don't know. It's the only way to get it.
Only way to get a
It's
hair?
the only way to really get it.
But yeah, she does not like herself. You see that Debbie often does not like herself.
Yeah.
All these characters have very unlikable traits.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're like, oh, we're going to do a show about flawed women. They're doing a show about people.
Yeah.
And it comes up in a really nice, organic way with everyone, too, as opposed to like, and this is their turn where they're going to have this happen to them. It's not mapped out like a wrestling match. The show is itself, I think, incredibly nuanced.
Yeah.
Really well paced.
Yeah. You watch a bit more wrestling than I do.
Yes.
How does the wrestling hold up on this show for you?
Honestly, pretty decent. There's definitely some stuff where you can tell, like, this is some early days and people who are, like, learning how to do this.
Which is good, because you don't want them to be fucking flying through the ring on day one.
But then when you see them pull off some really insane moves, like they do as they go on, you're like, holy shit, look at that growth. Look at how they do this.
Yeah.
The constant talk of supporting one another, too, physically, is a big thing that they do really well on this show. Because that's something when you're watching wrestling matches, there are certain wrestlers who you go, oh, that person seems like a really bad partner. Like, they're not really paying attention to, like, holding their partner's neck in a certain way. All the things that you were getting trained to do, right? Of just like, hey, this is how we're going to make sure you and this other person don't get hurt. Yeah. And there are certain wrestlers where you can watch and you can go, oh my God, look at the care they're putting into the other people.
I never fully got to any, like, partnering. If you've missed this story, if you've missed this piece of the AB lore, I learned briefly some basics of wrestling, which was cool going back and rewatching the pilot.
Ooh, I bet.
Because, like, the first couple things they teach them are tumbling and running the ropes, which are two of the things I learned in my little, like, 3-day crash course of how to do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
No, we never got past, like, don't crack your own head on the stage.
I mean, that's a good place to be.
I was just trying to partner with myself.
And
if you know what I mean.
Put on your own mask, you know?
Yeah.
You gotta do that first.
Yeah.
But they do a good job of showcasing all that stuff. And a lot of times, too, at least in my experience of watching wrestling, a lot of times it's the heels who are the ones who are really working that support system. Like, you can just see some really, really great shit. There was a match between Kevin Owens and another gentleman on the show in WWE.
The show of wrestling.
The show of wrestling. It was him and Roman Reigns. And I personally am not a huge fan of Roman Reigns. Sorry, wrestling friends. But you could see how Kevin Owens would just, like, really sell all of his moves and really support him and really just, like, put his own body on the line for a move, but would do it in such a way that you could see this athleticism if you were really looking for it and going, oh my gosh, wow, the way that he took that hit or the way he presented that flip. And I think the show Glow does a good job of showcasing that kind of dynamic of, hey, do this. Hey, I'm going to go in for this. Are you good? And that's one of the things that is fun to watch in wrestling.
It's sort of emotionally what happens here.
Oh, where I'm mean to you all the time, but secretly nice, or how? Which of us is the heel?
Ooh, I meant more just like all the behind the scenes, right? That's happening where we're like lifting each other up to nail a punchline.
That's true.
Or when we get on the floor and wrestle at the end of every episode.
Every single episode before we get in the matchbox that we live in.
Have I not been editing that into the...
We'd have so many more views. Oh, I spit everywhere. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It's early. I'm a mess today.
Would you like some Playa vibes?
Honestly, can I try it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Live react. Really sell it.
Mm.
Oh, she loves it.
My face. That actually is not bad.
Ooh, Celsius! Look at the spokeswoman.
It's only 10 calories.
What? Yeah,
that's crazy.
I don't even count it.
What is the sugar that's in this though?
None.
No, but what's the sugar flavor?
Oh, don't worry about it.
Sucralose.
I did see a tweet that was like, "Fucking love Celsius. Can't wait to be a part of that class action someday."
That's what I'm wondering. Where I'm like, how do you taste like that, but are 10 calories?
You consume a credit card's worth of plastic every year in microplastics.
That's horrible.
So,
I mean, we're all gonna die.
At least I enjoy the Celsius.
That's true. That's true.
I'm not even having fun eating that credit card. So back to Glow.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't consuming those when did microplastics start? They were getting lead paint, I guess.
Oh yeah. Which, I mean, to be fair, so are we.
Cool.
Isn't it fun in LA moving into a place and signing that waiver and you're like, well, I'm either going to get sick or get X-Men powers. Have you not moved into a place where you've had to sign a lead paint waiver?
I don't think so.
Oh
or I don't read the things I sign.
Yeah.
It really could go either way.
I had 2 apartments that I had to sign a waiver that was like, so lead paint was definitely used here at some point, but you're cool with that, right? And we were like, I guess so.
I don't think I ever did.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I mean, lucky you, or whoa, they didn't let you know.
What am I gonna fucking do about it?
That's true. Just one day when you learn of lead poisoning, you'll just be like, apartment such and such.
I'm gonna steal one of those big sheet things they put on you at the dentist when they take your X-ray. Just wear that around.
Yeah, like an apron.
I love when they do that and then point the X-ray at your head.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
thank you for protecting this, but what?
Yeah. Whoops.
Who are your favorite wrestlers in this show? Who are your favorite characters?
That's such a good question. Well, okay, first off, and they're look, this is no shade on the actresses. There's what, like 14 wrestlers or something? It's a
very big cast.
Fucking cast.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
There are 3 that I always forget are there. And I do feel slightly bad because those actresses are fine.
Yeah.
But it's Vicky Viking.
Yes.
And the 2 old ladies.
Oh, I do love the 2 old ladies.
I do love them, but Vicky's the worst for just like, I'm sure that actress is wonderful. Every time they cut to her, I kind of go, oh yeah, there's like one more.
Yeah, when she's like, I have to find a character. I was like, oh, yeah.
Which I guess is maybe part of the point.
Probably.
I don't know.
But yeah.
Oh goodness.
I do love the old biddies though.
They're fun. They're
very
fun. It's hard because everyone does have great moments.
Mm-hmm.
I really love, what is the actual character's name? She wrestles as Machu Picchu. Carmen,
I
yes.
love her.
And I feel like is just one of the, Brittany Young is just one of those, you needed to cast someone who was sunshine and was just so immediately winning and likable. And that's a very hard thing to cast.
Mm-hmm.
She's perfect.
She's lovely. When the show first came out, Logan and I were obsessed with her in particular. And I was just like, I tweeted at the time when I was still on Twitter of, Glow is incredible, but this actress, Brittany Young, who plays Carmen, steals the show. And I got a little tweet back of just like, thank you so much for watching. That really means the world to me.
And if you don't watch the 3rd season, it'll kill me.
Talk too much with my hands. This is what happens when I don't have caffeine in the morning, where I'm just like, all of my... I can't even think of the word. Motor functions, there we go, are not working with me. But she seemed really, really nice. And at the time, she had like no followers either. And I was just like, what? You're going to be a star.
It's funny that Kate Nash is in this.
I love that Kate Nash is in it. It's so weird.
Because I was heavy into the British singer-songwriter, early 2000s girly pop moment.
Would blast foundations.
Oh my God. That was my teenage someone fucking gets it album. 100%.
College for me of just like another bad fucking date. Yeah, I loved that.
So when she showed up, I think I kind of recognized her. I had that moment of like, is that what I fucking think it is?
Yeah.
I got a tweet back from her one time.
Love.
Yeah. Look at us. Look at us.
Getting the tweets.
fucking the supporting cast of Glow. She's wonderful, but very just an odd, like, did she even, I don't feel like she's done a ton of acting outside of that show either.
Think so.
And she's a lot of fun in it.
She's so fun. She plays just that whole earnestly ditzy so well.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a delight.
She is.
We'll have to get into her relationship later with Bash, because
I do love Bash. One of the things I think Eric and I quote more than anything from TV is when Bash is narrating one of the wrestling matches and Allison Brie's character Zoya steals Liberty Bell's child. And Bash goes, "Oh, what's a mother without a child? Just a person." We say that all the time.
I love when he has just like the kind of like little mentee bee with their Crazy Tuesday or Freaky Tuesday episode. And it's just like, because why the hell not?
His line deliveries when he's doing the
announcer stuff?
The announcer stuff are always gold.
It's so good.
No, not a weak link in this cast,
no,
honestly.
Everyone's a delight.
Yeah. Who are your favorites?
Oh, man. Yeah. Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
I love. Arthi, I think, has a really beautiful arc.
Yeah.
I really love her. I do really love Debbie. She's such a bitch.
That actress is amazing.
Betty Gilpin is incredible.
I had it on the other day, and a friend of the show, Dalen, came over. That's how I refer to him in my real life, too. Oh, it's friend of the show, Dalen. And walked in, and Betty Gilpin was all done up for, like, a wrestling match. And he just went, oh, my God. It was just his response to Betty Gilpin.
I think that's everyone's.
I was like, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
You see Betty Gilpin, and you should go, yes.
Wow. Okay.
Respectfully. I mean, she's a stunner.
Yeah.
Which her having the arc too about the eating disorder is one of those things too of just like, you're Betty Gilpin.
When I do appreciate that they kind of bring up of just like, you don't need to lose any weight. You just have big boobs.
Yeah.
Like, you're curvy and beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly why you're amazing looking.
Exactly.
But in that time, sometimes I think it's really good actually how we just decide that bodies have trends.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good and healthy. And not damaging for anyone.
No, not at all. They certainly aren't linked to the political climate in any way, shape, or form either. Women don't get smaller as rights deteriorate. There's no correlation whatsoever.
Neat.
Yeah.
Neat.
That one person's going to be so mad.
Oh, it's neat, I tell you. It's good, actually.
I do also, I have a love-hate with Melrose.
Yes. She's a great kind of, oh, you're such a bitch, but you're fun.
Yeah, there's some really great moments and some others where I'm like, babe, read the room. But
Yeah.
that's her whole thing.
Yeah. But again, a well-cast actress of like, you are pulling off a character that could be just grating if you weren't funny.
Yeah. Well, and to see her go from this to Nobody Wants This.
I didn't watch it.
So good.
Is it?
It's really fun. I really, really enjoy it. Although the most unrealistic thing about that film is, wait, you guys were born and raised in Los Angeles and you know nothing about Judaism? Nothing? Like you have no Jewish friends? Okay. All right.
Right.
But she goes from playing Melrose to, and she did some hosting on Netflix, but in this, she is this overbearing, high-strung wife to just a dumbass. And it's such a good role. She's still like very snarky and biting and everything, but it's just so different from what she's done here. She's got range.
We love that.
Mm-hmm.
We love that. Yeah, everyone's fucking fun in this.
They are.
Everyone's fucking good. It's hard to pick a favorite because everyone has good moments too.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, yes, I think seeing how they would have stepped up for some of these cast members would have been fantastic. But even as it stands, like, what they were given to work with, all these actresses just made it fucking sing and made all their characters so compelling and fun.
I mean, Tammy just dealing with a back injury was compelling.
Yeah.
Cherry's whole issue with having kids.
I love Cherry. I love Cherry and Keith.
Keith is the best.
Yep.
I love him.
Yep.
I love him so much. And I really enjoyed seeing a relationship where, because this happens a lot of times on in TV shows and movies, where we see a man who genuinely very much wants to have children and is an actual equal like investor in wanting that, as opposed to going along the ride for it.
Yeah.
And that whole storyline was just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But maybe not. But we don't know.
But we'll never know.
Because season 4 didn't happen.
We'll never know. And that is the biggest thing, just getting into the cancellation. It was so set up with so many loose ends. Almost every plot line ended on a like, well, we'll see later.
Yeah.
So truly, even just if Netflix was like, here's the script. Here's what happened.
Yeah.
We're never going to record it. But when I feel like most of the cast was like, we would come back and do even a movie just to tie it up.
I would love a several years later movie.
Yeah.
I think that'd be super fun.
Fine.
I would love that.
Please. Anything.
Anything. Should I spoiler banjo so we can talk about some other things that we would like wrapped up?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, you're in spoiler country.
Yeah,
You've
you
been
are.
warned. I've been a Sam and Ruth truther from day one.
Really? Okay. I've always had kind of a, I don't know about
And then
it.
when they kissed, I was like, wait, maybe not.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I don't know. This feels weird.
I don't know. Well, and I have to say, this was a moment where I was on Sam's side too, because when the kiss happened and everything, and the I love you happened, it was, oh no, he's not going to tell her. he's not going to tell her, and she's going to find out, and it's going to blow up in his face, and it's
Right.
going to be horrible.
Right.
And then he does the right thing, in my opinion, of, hey, I need you to know that Justine, his now daughter, I mean,
Well,
always
it's
has
always his
been,
daughter.
has always been, but now, like, legally, yay,
Yeah.
that's exciting, isn't going to cast you in the movie and everything.
Yeah.
And then she gets
So yeah, Sam
so upset.
in the 3rd season is working on a movie.
Yeah.
Has Ruth audition for it, and isn't going to use her.
Isn't going to use her. And she gets very upset. And I understand that. But also, he does do the right thing of, hey, I'm not going to sleep with you without you knowing this.
Yeah.
So there was just a moment where I was like, no, he finally for once wasn't an asshole.
Yeah.
He actually was a nice guy. And so when she was like, this is how you're not an asshole, I did take issue with, and I was on his side about it. How did you feel about it?
Yeah. I mean, it was frustrating just as an audience member of it did feel, because they had such an interesting dynamic. Like, I do think whether you were pro or against, if you haven't seen the show, this is Alison Brie and Mark Maron's character. So she's one of the actors on the show. He's the director. And they built this really interesting, it never even quite felt like a full will they, won't they? It was just a weird, there's something there and I can't quite figure out what it is.
Yeah.
Of he starts out pretty antagonistic towards her, but it is in that oh, you kind of want to sleep with her.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of being mean because you have a crush on her, I think.
Yeah.
And then it builds into this really interesting, oh, you are kind of these weird intellectual equals. And I think you do kind of get each other in this weird, you're both kind of broken people who are so obsessed with your art way.
Yeah.
So then it was frustrating as an audience member because they kiss and then the blow up happens immediately after.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
Well, here
never
we are.
mind. And then he has a heart attack.
Yeah.
It's Jesus Christ. But he's okay.
Yeah. Does anyone know about the heart attack, by the way? No one knows about it, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because I was like, did I fill up my water at a time where somebody knows about this? But
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. So we'll never know. So there's that storyline.
But I was pro. I wanted it from day one.
Yeah.
I made Eric. It must have been when the 1st season came out. We were Zoya and Sam for Halloween one year.
Nice.
Yeah.
So was Eric just in regular clothes but glasses?
He shaved to just the mustache.
Oh.
Which was bold.
That is.
And then he was like, maybe I'll keep it. And I was like, here's the thing. You look pretty good with it. But if you have that mustache, then every time people refer to you, it would be like, oh, the one with the mustache. And I don't know if I want that to be my partner's thing. He's like, no, they would say the one with the kind eyes. And I'm like, they would not. It's not that you don't, but that's not. If you have that mustache, you're that guy with the mustache.
Mm-hmm.
So we grew that out pretty fast. But,
Fair.
or I shaved it, I guess. It's not bangs.
Just let it
Grow
become
it out
mutton
enough
chops.
so you can sweep it to the side. Oh, God, I made myself feel unwell. Kris.
He'd still pull it off, though. That's what's so annoying.
A little barrette on either side. Holding back the mustache from his mouth. Oh, God. I made myself nauseous.
Have your medicine?
Yeah. Oh, so bad. But no, he did the mustache. He got the big 80s glasses and a really just kind of blocky 80s button-up shirt.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then he put a little white powder in his mustache and borrowed an old school camera from a friend.
That's nice. Okay.
And then, as is so often the way, I had to do leotard, hair, makeup. It was all, I had to go buy one of those furry hat things.
Did you resurrect the bum bit to keep the mohawk up?
No, honestly, the furry, I don't know what it's called. The furry round hat thing does a lot of heavy lifting on holding that hairdo in place.
That's fair.
Yeah. And then friend of the show, Carolyn, who is a lovely blonde, was living with me. We were roommates at the time, and she's like, I don't know what to be for Halloween. I was like, you're Liberty Bell. go get a patriotic. I think she just bought a patriotic swimsuit and was like, good enough.
That's perfect.
So that was a good Halloween.
That's great.
But
So
that frustrating
Mm-hmm.
that we never got conclusion there.
No.
The big one, Debbie is taking over
a television network.
And pitches it to Ruth. And because basically, okay, so one thing I think this show did really well, I'm going somewhere with this, is I'm going to start every sentence on this podcast with that because I know sometimes you just can't be sure. I'm aware. It's a long walk from A to B some days. It's okay. Lace up those sneaks, babe. 10,000 steps. We're going to get them. So one thing I think this show did really well, because so often when a show has a stellar first season, I feel like there is a sense of sort of this was lightning in a bottle. This really, really worked. And then kind of where do we go from there? Right? I think a lot of shows with really strong first seasons meander a bit because there is a bit of what else is there to tell you?
Sure.
I'm not naming names. Ted Lasso, I'm looking at you.
Fair, though. The last season does wander a lot.
Oh, okay. I finally watched the finale of that show, and I love Ted Lasso. It's a great show. That first season, hilarious, so good, so charming, so winning. The finale doesn't even feel like a finale because it's just like there's nothing to wrap up.
Well, it's not. They're doing more shows.
Can I trade that for Glow? It's not the same. I know.
I was going to say, you got to call up Apple and be like, I have a proposition for you. Could you buy this?
Come on now. No, but, and again, I like Ted Lasso, but some shows do that. Wow, what a great first season. Oh, where else do we go? What else do we do with these characters? And it can make the later seasons feel a little meandering.
Sure.
Glow, I think, part of why it feels so strong every season is each season has a really clear new thing we're doing. And obviously, you have such a brilliant huge cast that then it is like, oh, this season we can like get into Cherry and Keith, or we can get into this character, we can, XYZ. Like you have so much to explore here. But it's like season 1, we're literally just trying to make these girls wrestlers and put up a wrestling show. Season 2, we're making the TV show. Season 3, we move to Vegas and we're doing that. So each season has a really clear arc and a really clear kind of goal that is different, but still very much within this world.
Yeah.
So I think season 4 would have been so strong because season 3, they essentially find out they don't have the rights. Glow's not happening anymore. They don't have the rights to these characters. But Debbie pitches this like, we're going to create new characters. We're going to create a new show with Debbie at the helm. And she offers the directing position to Ruth. And Ruth doesn't really want to take it. But she would.
She's going to go to Omaha. She's going to talk to her parents. She's going to feel away. But I think she would have taken it if it weren't for Debbie's delivery system.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Because Debbie basically is like, you're never going to be an actress.
Yeah. That to hear, no matter how true it could be, to hear from somebody, if they wanted you, they would have gotten you already.
Yeah.
Or it would have happened already. Ooh.
Yeah.
That's rough. That's rough to hear.
People tell me about the Celsius sponsorship every day. But I won't hear it.
But they're going to get us.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. And I'm shocked that it tastes that way. And it's 10 calories. So good job.
Good job.
It does taste like a cocktail.
Yeah.
That's a nice.
Well, that's all the
if you're dry.
rum I poured in it.
Oh, God. At 11? This drive to Marina Del Rey is going to be fantastic for me.
Well, it's a little upper and a little downer, so you just shoot yourself right down the middle.
Perfect. Send my dip for success. Thanks, bud.
You're so welcome.
Oh my God, taking care of me.
But yeah, I think
that's the behind the scenes care. You do it.
I'm just watching your neck.
Thanks. Somebody's gotta.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that 4th season would have been really fun and interesting.
It would have been really, really cool to see how that would have shifted things and how the power dynamic would have changed between everybody. Because we always see Debbie in a producer role, but with very limited power. So it would have been really cool to see her with those, certain securities put in place.
Yeah.
How things could have changed for her.
Yeah. That would have been interesting. Keith and Cherry trying to start a family.
Going through the adoption process. Be very interesting to see. Bash and Ruth.
Oh.
Or not Ruth, excuse me. Bash and Rhonda.
Yeah.
Starting a family. Because what's more natural, and I don't want to shame anyone here, but what's more natural than after you have your first threesome as a couple to be like, I want to put a baby in you?
I'm definitely attracted to men. Maybe exclusively. But let's do this now.
Yeah. But now, I want to make sure I push all those pesky feelings down.
Yep.
And let's have a baby.
Yep.
Which I am glad they finally dealt with it, because that whole proposal was so weird.
Yep.
And rushed.
Yeah.
And when your best friend Butler dies,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to feel a way.
Mm-hmm.
So I understood making like a brash decision. But
no, they were going somewhere with that.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to see it. I
yeah,
would have liked to see it. Fucking A, Netflix.
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
How many seasons of Love is Blind do we have? And we don't have a season 4 of this. And I say that as a person who's part of the problem. I keep watching Love is Blind, and I didn't watch that 3rd season until this week.
Are you still watching Love is Blind?
I think I'm done finally, because the last season was such trash.
Yeah.
It was so bad. It was just so bad. It was just the dumbest people.
Well,
There was no real fun drama.
That's always the problem with that kind of reality show when it gets big, because then it's like, well, I feel like you're not getting people who are actually curious if they could find their soulmate this way. You get people who want to be on Love is Blind.
Yeah. I want to be famous.
Yep.
And you go, for this?
Mm.
Oh.
Also, cast an Uggo, you cowards.
Honestly?
Everyone's just fine looking. Everyone's fine looking.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Mhm.
What's the point? I don't believe you, Nick Lachey. I don't think this is about anything.
No. I love how dramatic it is, though. Or will you walk away from them forever? Yeah.
Here's my problem with Love is Blind, which is what this episode is about.
Yeah.
I feel like it actually is way less a test of, is love blind? Because again, everyone's a 7 and up.
Yeah.
But also, it's way more a test of, is it a bad idea to marry someone you've known for a month? Which, yeah.
And is it very telling about you personally that you know this person better than anyone you've ever dated before? Because you spent, was it 10 days in the pods? It's something like that before you propose to someone.
They called them the pods.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I love when they always refer to it as the experiment.
Yeah. Where's the control group?
That's the rest of us.
Just having normal fucking relationships. Just being ugly and having normal relationships.
Just going, all right, well, found somebody.
You know what? Good enough.
Made it work. And they're like, that's the control.
That's the control
Now let's
group.
put you in a pod.
What a mess. What a fucking mess of a show.
I wish they put them in actual pods, though. Like the moving ones. I feel like that's the real show. Have them transport cross country. Then see if they make it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Together?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'd watch it.
Netflix, call me. I can keep pitching stuff. Let's go. If there was a follow-up movie,
Yeah.
what would you want to have in it?
I mean, honestly, just wrap up those storylines.
Yeah.
If nothing else. Like, give every character a moment. Because that's the thing. It's like, look, you could just take an hour and a half, and that hour and a half could just kind of be a, where did everyone go?
Mm-hmm.
Hell, you could even, time jump and do it a bit with the, I get that realistically it might be a little harder now to get all those actors in a room for, do the fucking weird-ass Arrested Development. Like, we couldn't get anyone in the same room at the same time, but we'll make it work.
Yeah. You can also, if it's based loosely on a documentary, have a full circle moment of doing a mockumentary kind of style.
Sure, that would have been fine.
Where it has those flashbacks of, oh yeah, this is what happened, this kind of thing, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And they all can just be in the 90s looking back on their time in Glow.
Tie up storylines.
Yeah.
That's all I really want.
Yeah. Same.
I know Sam and Ruth didn't end up together.
No.
That's okay.
Well, and I feel like that's another one of those examples of like two people who probably shouldn't be together, but enjoy whatever weird thing it is that you have.
Yeah.
That's enough
That's
sometimes.
beautiful.
Yeah. You're just two little freaks who are trying your best.
That was the hashtag for our wedding. When you post photos of this day, please hashtag it two little freaks who are trying their best. But that would have been really nice. And again, I've never heard anything implying the cast wasn't interested in doing so.
They all seem very, very keen to, so I don't know. But Netflix won't give us what we want.
No.
Why would they?
They did this with other shows, right? Nothing I watched real closely, but I know people became
Santa
a bit of
Clarita Diet, they canceled pretty unceremoniously. Most shows usually get on the chopping block around season 3.
lame.
I know. Stranger Things
Well, that's their big
kept kicking.
That's their big cash cow.
Yeah. But that's why I was so surprised about this, though, because Stranger Things also dabbles into this, too, but this was one of their prestige shows, you know, where they were always getting nominations. They were always really well liked by critics.
Mm-hmm.
I was just shocked to see them let it go. So, and maybe it wasn't easily, but it feels that way.
Yeah. Do you hate women or wrestling or?
Yeah. Yeah. What?
What is it? What'd they do? What'd they do?
You tell us.
If you haven't seen the show, I really do recommend it.
It's great. 3 seasons. Watch.
I will say, go in prepared that it will not be a satisfying conclusion, but I do think the ride is still worth it.
Yeah. Oh, hard agree.
Sometimes with shows, it is like,
yeah, you should just bail because you're not going to enjoy where this ends up.
Yeah.
But this is one that you should watch.
I love when everyone's obsessed with a show, but then and I never watched it, but then it ends bad. Like Game of Thrones. I was like, oh, maybe I was just right to never watch it.
Fair.
Sweet.
Fair.
People stop yelling me about this.
That show had
Yelling
a
at
lot
me.
of swings and roundabouts.
Yeah. But this one, if you haven't seen it, it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Everyone in it's so good. Some dope 80s needle drops. Excellent Valley representation.
Oh, so good.
Someone who's born and raised in the Valley, I'm like, that's that deep Valley too. You can tell.
I love it.
They're like out in fucking Chatsworth.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I got you. I see you.
And making it make sense, because that's another picadillo I have about LA set shows, when they're just like, oh yeah, I'm going to just go from this part of LA to this part of LA on the same day. No, you're not.
Yeah, they go to like Malibu and it's like, oh, this was a schlep for everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I hate when they do that kind of shit.
Yeah.
That Anne Hathaway Amazon movie does this all the time of like, well, I work in Glendale, but I have a place here, and then we're going to go to Santa Monica. No, don't do that.
Relationships are made and broken by the 405.
1,000%.
You don't understand.
If you move over the hill, I'll never see you.
That's
That's
true.
okay.
It's true. No, that's really well done. I do enjoy, I don't want this to sound mean. This show captures a real, like, I feel like something you saw a lot in media of like the 70s and 80s, where it's like the most beautiful women you've ever seen in your life are with dudes that are like charming.
Fine.
Charming.
Yeah. This is true.
But I was like, this is accurate 80s representation to everything I've seen.
Absolutely.
You know who I always forget is there?
Who?
Russell.
Yeah.
He popped up when I was rewatching this, and I was like, oh, yeah.
That guy.
Russell. Just there to be not Mark Maron. So that relationship holds off for a minute, because I think, we kind of want this, but we kind of don't want this. Again, the second they kissed, I feel like everyone's like, hey, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Ruth just dates a cameraman for a while, and he's fine.
It's fine. Well, at first, very much like him.
Yeah.
And then that just starts to fizzle, as relationships do.
Yeah.
But so much of that, too, was, oh, yeah, just break up, you guys.
Yeah.
Just break up. It's fine. If you're already thinking about what's going to happen when you break up, you're going to break up.
Yeah. No, that's real. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just the nature of a show this big. There's going to be a few characters where you're just like, oh, right.
Oh,
And
that
you.
guy.
You're here too.
Yeah. Absolutely. All in all, you guys should give it a watch.
For Russell and Russell alone.
Just for him.
What if Netflix was like, we hear you, we understand you, here's the Russell spinoff.
Where we follow him on his journey to Spain to go shoot there. They would.
That
seems
so
right.
funny.
He still got the camera that Ruth gave him. Aw.
Oh.
Beautiful. If you've watched Glow, let us know what you think. If you haven't watched Glow, why not? And did this sway you in any way? Let us know.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on Glow?
Oh, is there anything else that you'd recommend if you really enjoyed this show? I mean, my go-to is watch wrestling.
Well, if you like the show and you haven't seen the documentary, I will say that
okay.
was a good watch, and
Cool.
that was very entertaining. I mean, if you like kind of the big ensemble dramedy,
Are you having that thing where a word sounds like it's not right?
Ensemble?
Yeah.
Surely the B isn't hit that hard. Ensemble?
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 Well, I'm not the
Ensemble?
person. I'm not the person to ask. I speak wrong.
Have I never said this word before? No, surely. Wind it
Ensemble.
back. I said it earlier in
Yeah.
the episode.
No, I think that's it.
Ensemble?
I knew you were going to before you even said it. Like, she's going to do it in, silly little French
What
way.
am I going to do
All
now?
right. I don't know. Now it's just chaos.
The Sylvia is the same. I don't know. It's like not the same, but like kind of Orange is the New Black vibes. But I never finished that, so I can't really. That went on
For so long.
for many, many seasons.
Yeah. With those actresses not being paid well at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a whole to-do about it.
But I feel like just similar in this is a big cast of people where I'm kind of going, why haven't I seen all these actresses before? They're so good.
A large ensemble.
Ensemble?
That's it. You got it that time.
Got a big old ensemble. Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
That's how you say it, yeah.
No, I don't know. I can't think of anything that quite scratches this same itch for me.
No. Because the 80s fulfillment too doesn't come, like, it's not the same kind with Stranger Things.
No. And they don't need your fucking views.
They don't.
It's me. It's me getting sad and rewatching it all the time.
Why does this one person pause so often when David Harbour's on screen? It's interesting. Write that down for our analytics.
What's the streaming version of when your tape's just like a little warped because you keep rewinding? Didn't know you could do that on streaming. That's incredible. Wow. She wore out the tape.
We didn't know it was possible till now. Man.
No, I don't know. There's nothing like Glow, and there never will be, and I'll die sad about it. Cheers, babe.
That's our episode.
Cheers.
Thanks so much for listening. If you like this kind of stuff, and by this kind of stuff, I mean when it's just me and Amy, you should go head on over.
Breakdown.
You think this is a breakdown? Go to Patreon and see what we do there. We don't edit those. And when I say we, I mean I don't edit those. And unlike what goes up on YouTube and stuff that Amy meticulously edits, I just go, no.
Meticulously edits.
Well, you can go over there for $5 a month for less than the price of a cup of coffee. You can get 2 bonus episodes, which is very exciting, and go get our unedited thoughts there and see us have all kinds of unhinged conversations.
What are we talking about this month?
Oh, man, we talk about how that Stranger Things release.
We're like, fuck Stranger Things. No more Stranger Things. We are talking about Stranger Things.
Talking about Stranger Things.
I fucking love it, guys.
Specifically, we're talking about that release, though. How we're feeling about it.
I'm running up that hill.
And then we have coming out today. Well, that's already out for you guys. It's okay. We have
babe.
We have an episode coming out about our movies of 2025 that we have seen so far, likes, dislikes, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go run up that hill.
Do it.
Make a deal with God and convince him to swap Stranger Things seasons for Glow. No, I want both.
I want
both.
Yeah. Swap it with Love is Blind.
Thank you.
Yeah. There we go. If you want to be part of the conversation, head on over to Instagram.
I'm sorry. I'm gone. Like, what if they did give us more?
You can go to Instagram.
Do I want Sam and Ruth together?
You just start writing fan fiction, see how that feels.
Well, now I gotta know.
Yeah.
You wrap it up. I'll be over
Head on over to Instagram at 2filthycasualspod if you would like to post questions for any of our superfans in future episodes. You can also get this on YouTube, or you can get this wherever you get your podcast. So if you want to just hear us, podcast. If you want to see us, YouTube. Thanks for being here. Please subscribe, smash that like button, all those things that people ask you to do. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you next time.
I typed in Glow, and it just gave me a bunch of Harry Potter fanfic with Glow in the title.
Oh. I got upset because one of them just said Rick and Morty, and the first word I saw was sex. And I went, between Rick and Morty?
Welcome to AO3, baby.
God damn. All right, well, on that note.
Did you do everything? I was not here.
I did, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you get to just say bye now.
Until next time, I'm Amy Newman.
And I'm Kris Carr.
And remember, if you followed this phantom, you'd be home by now.
All right, well, we just got to do like a quick clothesline before you go.
Finally.
All right.
I welcome it.